So nice to be here. I'm Mairita from Latvia. I'm an environmental activist for more than 15 years already, and I've been dealing both with individual habit change, working with people, promoting recycling. Then I went into zero waste and became an individual who tried not to produce any waste. I did plastic-free July, and I didn't produce any plastic waste for a month, and then I still produced a lot less waste than a regular person. And then the more I worked with environmental issues, the more I saw the role of companies, the role of politics, the roles of governments to improve the situation, because we as individuals, we live in an imperfect system and we cannot be perfect an imperfect system. And as a previous speaker mentioned, we should not be the ones who are carrying out the change. It should be the companies who should offer us good options. So currently I'm into politics. I'm one of the politicians. I'm in Riga City Council dealing with waste management issues. So a lot of my examples for greenwashing will come from waste management field. But I hope you will see the story behind them and how they can be relevant for your industry as well. So who of you know what is greenwashing? Raise your hands, please. Oh, not many hands. Some of them, but less than carbon footprint, so nice. So basically greenwashing is concept created in 1990s by Greenpeace, so Greenpeace, greenwashing. And basically, while we in Baltics, a lot of us here are from Baltics, we're dealing with different issues like 90s, so I think almost all of us are old enough to remember these good times. In the rest of the world, more and more publicity campaigns were speaking about green products and being sustainable and how this is the next thing that's going to save us and how we just have to buy this and everything is going to be okay. And what sustainability experts and NGOs and scientists saw that there's nothing behind there in many cases. There's just change of packaging, like we switch packaging to green and let's say that it's sustainable. And I would say that from 1990s, the number of environmental claims has increased. To come here, I bought a bus ticket and I was offered to buy carbon offset for 25 cents. When I walked to the bus station, I saw a commercial for a coffee shop. Ecological is better. They are offering only ecological coffee. And when I went to the bathroom in Tallinn, in the toilet of bus station of Tallinn, I was offered to dry my hands with the power of eco-power, like the drying machine for hands had a sticker of it on it, saying the power of like the eco-power. So what greenwashing is putting out claims that cannot really be proven and that don't mean anything. Like in many cases, these claims that company is green or some activity is green has little or no basis. This is one of more official version, one of more official definitions of greenwashing. So greenwashing is this unsubstantiated, oh God, what a word, claim to deceive customers into believing that a company's products are more environmentally friendly and they are more green than it's true. And I have two tiny issues, not really issues with this definition, and these are these two parts. To deceive and environmentally friendly. I will start to speak about this part of deception first. Do companies know what they are doing? Like environmental experts, NGO activists and people, when they see a publicity and they see it's not true and it's kind of not as green as it seems, they are angry at the company and they feel tricked. Unfortunately, or fortunately, a lot of companies do not want to trick their consumers. They are not led by malicious intent. Actually, they just don't understand sustainability. Why? I will speak about it a bit later, but I can tell you two case studies that we had in Latvia, both related to waste. But as I said, look deeper and you will see how it might be relevant for your sector as well. So we have this picture of packaging for pasta, I think it was for a lot of products, for grains, but this is one of pasta packaging. So these companies, they invested a lot in switching their packaging And they used a material that was told to them by the producer of the packaging that this packaging is recyclable. They were very happy, so they put a sign on their packaging saying, "Be responsible, separate your waste, it's 100% recyclable packaging." And then the problem started, because the local waste management companies told, "Hey, actually, like this packaging, it's not recyclable, and a lot of us, we don't even accept it in our recycling system." And then when I spoke with the director of marketing of this company, she was really surprised. But the company who sold us this packaging, they told it is recyclable, how come it's not? So in this case, I would say the mistake of the company was not looking at whole chain and not asking the correct questions. Those are the correct part of the production chain. They should have connected with local waste management companies as well. And this other one, it's interesting as well. So it's a coffee chain, Narvasan, and a couple of years ago, they made this nice publicity that almost disappeared. It was very hard to find any material of it, and I couldn't find online, and I was having difficulties to find the materials I saved at that time. This was the only thing I found. So basically, they offered this 100% recyclable single-use coffee cup made from natural materials. And as I'm dealing a lot with waste, this seemed a little bit strange to me. So after a couple of emails with the company, with the producers of this company, the true story came out. And this cup, it's still not accepted for recycling, as were the previous cups. Because it's very hard to collect these kind of cups for recycling and nobody needs them. Like we throw our single-use cup, we usually throw it when we walk on the street and nobody is going to separate it. So the cup was as unrecyclable and not accepted in the recycling system as before. And actually, if you would analyze it, it would be exactly the same as the previous cup. The only difference was that the material inside of the cup was bio-based. It was made from plants. So this cup had a lower CO2 footprint. And it would be a good campaigning point. We have a cup that has a lower CO2 footprint, and they could have used it. But they made a mistake, once more, not understanding their product. And in this case, I would say this company stayed short. They should have gone even further, because sometimes if you speak about sustainability and you think about sustainability, you have to look a bit further and think, is there something else I can do? So this is a single-use cup. Can a single-use cup be reusable? Maybe I should switch to reusable cups. So these are two tiny PR disasters. We've seen bigger, like this is a bigger one. Once more, carbon offsets, like Saudi Arabia is the same story. Do you understand what you are saying? Can you explain it a bit? Do you know what you are doing? So Saudi Arabia said that they are going to solve their carbon footprint issues by reforestation. And when people started to ask, like, you are a country, you don't have a lot of water, you have a desert, what you're going to do? And they didn't really have any good answers. So sustainability is not thought through many times. As I said, another issue I have with this definition is this idea of the perfect sustainability product. As an environmental expert, I get a lot of questions. What is more sustainable, product A or product B? And I'm a huge promoter for reusable nappies and reusable products in general. And for example, when I speak about reusable diapers, and people tell me, yes, but you use water and energy to wash them, and it's not environmentally friendly. So first of all, anything we are going to do will have an impact. So we cannot have, it's very hard to have, you could come up with some theoretical cases, but in any case, your product is going to have an environmental impact in some part of the chain. You cannot have the perfect product, and you have to be aware of it. And the other thing, it's very hard to say, in some cases, what is more sustainable. Sustainability is an objective up to a certain point, but there is a moment when subjective values and our personal values come in. And when we speak about sustainability, we must be aware of it, and we must be open and say, yes, this is my personal priority. I will give you just some examples of what we can and we cannot express in numbers. One of the sustainability discussions in waste world that people usually mention is, which is better, paper bag or plastic bag, single use? Which of you thinks that plastic bag is better? No, some person, yes, I see some hands. Which of you thinks that paper bag is better? Yes, so more hands, a lot of people are not on the fence, yes? Which of you thinks that, a reusable bag is better? So we are quite divided, that's interesting. So just looking at these three options, we see how sustainability can be complicated. I would say that reusable bag, if used well and if used properly, so after certain amount of times, if we not just buy it and put in our closet, it's going to be a sustainable option. If we make it from an old t-shirt we have at home, it's even better and you can do it. And they look pretty nice, or old, you can make it from a lot of good old things. So then they are reusably sustainable. If we just buy it and leave it in the closet, it's not sustainable, because the initial footprint for producing a bag is going to be higher. If we look at paper and plastic bag, we can look at different aspects. Do we care about climate change, water footprint, impact on biodiversity, materials used for production, end-of-life aspects? Some things we can put in numbers, some we cannot, but I would say that generally paper bag is still more environmentally friendly. And then we go into deeper and we can ask even more complicated aspects, questions like milk. Which is better, milk bought, unecological milk, bought in a reusable bottle, so I go with my own bottle and I buy this non-ecological milk, or do I buy ecological milk in unrecyclable or partially recyclable packaging? Which one is better? I would say, and once more, we have to understand what's our priority. Is it ecology? Is it ecological production? Is it waste reduction? Some things we can express in numbers, and some we cannot. If you want to make the theoretically most sustainable milk ever, your option would be to go to a zero-waste shop, buy locally grown ecological oats and make your own milk at home. I don't know how much of us are willing to do that and how much of us do have time for that, but that's one more thing we can do. And we could have a lot of discussions on, for example, what's better for environment. Is it vegan leather that's basically plastic, or natural leather that's basically skin of animals? As a waste management person, I would say that this leather is better because it will last longer, but it will not create microplastic pollution. But I can understand that somebody who's passionate for animal rights will say, yes, but I will still choose vegan leather. So these are questions you can apply to your own field when you think about sustainability. And I'm here actually because we had an interesting discussion on Twitter and poll on perceptions that people have on greenwashing. And this was a very interesting result of this questionnaire. I think 400, 300 something people took part in it. It's not really objective, but still it shows tendencies. People dislike distractions. If you as a company speak about sustainability, people will understand, people will perceive when you are trying to distract them. If we take a look here, we see that this credit card produced from recycled plastic, a really small thing done by Swedbank, it's not perceived as greenwashing by people. It's not a huge part of the footprint of the bank. They didn't made a huge campaign about it. Yes. When Coca-Cola made a bottle with recycled marine plastic, it was a promotional stunt. They did it in some events and distributed these bottles. It was considered greenwashing by 79% of people. Why do you think there's this difference? Both use recycled plastic, but one is seen as greenwashing and the other one is not. Because plastic pollution is one of the biggest issues with Coca-Cola. If you look at brand audit that goes, if it's done for as an international activity done for 5 years, people go to beaches, I done it in Latvia, and they count plastic waste found on the beaches and they sign up the brands. Coca-Cola is winner for all the years. They are also, their plastic is the one that's found on the beaches all over the world. So when they did this stunt, they tackled the big issue, plastic contamination, but they did it in such a way that's did not really solve the issue. If we speak about banking sector, this is an interesting case. I didn't find a better quality of this image, because this campaign it had to be taken away. It was considered greenwashing, and it was taken away. Why do you think this is HSBC? HSBC, yes. And it said that they are going to invest 1 trillion in financing and invest to help our clients transition to net zero. Why was this kind of publicity considered greenwashing in UK? It's a good thing, isn't it? Well, what happens is that this bank is 13th in financing fossil fuels in UK. So when people complained, and according to the laws of UK, this campaign was taken away. So I only could find these bad pictures on the internet. It's disappeared, deleted. This is a case of Coca-Cola and recycled plastic in the bottles. They tackled a huge issue. Where do we as a banking put our money in? But they did it in such a way that people did not really trust. They tackled the issue, but not good enough. So yeah, this is an interesting story. You can look up at the internet. So what we come down to when we speak about companies and greenwashing and when what they do is considered greenwashing, it's not when they are trying to deceive people. Actually, it's when there's a disbalance of the money they give to publicity campaigns and the money they do in their capital investments regarding sustainability. So this is an interesting graph regarding the investments of big energy companies, how they are doing. So basically they speak a lot about publicity, they speak a lot about what they're doing, but actually they invest a small part of their finances into this aspect. So when you start to speak of sustainability issues, please don't start with marketing. Do some investment as well. It's kind of a test when I speak with companies regarding sustainability, and I ask them, who's the one responsible for sustainability in your company? And one of the most typical answers I usually get, can you guess what it is? It's like, oh yes, we have this new girl she came to work in the marketing department, she's new, she's Gen Z, and she's really into sustainability and green stuff, so now she's our sustainability manager. It doesn't work like that. You have to have sustainability at the core of your company before you make a huge public campaigns regarding how green you are and what you are doing. And I know for some people it's easier to think about topics when they are put into boxes. I'm one of those people. So I really like to think about greenwashing and try to fit it in one of these categories. It's quite common categorization. It's usually called 7 sins of greenwashing. You can once more look it up. So 1, you can see it's hidden trade-off. It's a typical case when you'd speak just about one tiny aspect of your impact, and usually not the biggest one. So you get better in one field, but you don't change anything about it. It would be if I'm trying to come up with an example from your industry, but your industry is quite complex regarding sustainability because you are mainly in the electronical ones. But it's a typical story when you the thing of Coca-Cola, for example, they use recyclable plastic in their production, but they don't deal that their product is very sugar intensive and affect people badly. Then there's another thing that sustainability, we usually see in sustainability campaigns, there's no proof. Like we say something, we are very green, we have lower impact than this and that, but then actually we don't give any basis, don't give any scientific basis for what we are saying. So you should be really able to give the basis for your claims. And then there's vagueness. Like this example from Tallinn bus station is quite perfect. Eco feels the eco power. What does it mean? Is the machine itself more sustainable than another machines of this type? Is it simply substituting paper towels and they consider that drying hands with electricity is more sustainable? It's unclear. Here all the green packaging come in, and eco and green and nature-friendly signs we see on cosmetics come in. Then there's irrelevance. This one is interesting. For example, you go to shop and you see that there's a cosmetic bottle with a sign not tested on animals on it. Sounds good, doesn't it? Well, actually, no cosmetic in EU can be tested on animals. So this kind of sign is irrelevant because all the rest of the competition is doing the same, and it's actually the norm. It's like when you put fat-free on an apple. Yes, technically it's true, apple is fat-free, but it doesn't mean it's better than other apples. Then there's lesser of two evils, and actually there's a lot of discussion in this. I've seen this concept used in different ways, and in some cases it's even not used and kicked out of the list. It's used when we speak about sectors that are bad generally, and can you make a good cigarette? Can you make environmentally friendly cigarette? Then there's pure lying. It's seen, it's not very common actually, lying is not common. It's one of the rarest ways. And then there are false labels. And now I'm going to speak with you as people, not as decision makers inside your companies, but there's a huge difference between food and cosmetics, in general, food and other sectors when it comes down to greenwashing. It's very hard to greenwash in the classical sense food products. Because if a food has a sign eco or nature-friendly on it, usually, according to the law, they need to have ecological certification. They cannot use these claims without any basis, and it's strictly regulated on EU level. If you look at cosmetics, you will find different wonders and different signs that actually don't mean anything if you look a bit deeper, because you can have basically anything in the world of cosmetics marked as green. I've even seen products containing microplastics marked as green and sustainable. So that's a thing to take into account when you are buying something. And even if we put all these nice boxes and try to categorize it, we still have cases like this. And I don't know in which box to put this one. It was very nice. It was a huge backlash. It was a huge scandal in environmental circles, like we have our own little dramas that the rest of the world usually doesn't notice. But actually what the company said was, well, we were pretty clear because we had instructions how to separate these two parts, and we had a sign on the packaging that there's a tiny sign and there's plastic bottle inside. And we didn't think that people will actually think that we are able to fill shampoo inside of the paper bottle. And it makes sense, like you cannot put shampoo in a pure paper bottle, it's impossible. And we said, yes, but we are using much less plastic in this bottle. So is this greenwashing or is it not? This was a really, as I said, our small little drama from the environmental circles. And another question I would like to ask you, as I stated before, are some business models inherently green? One of the sectors that receives the biggest backlash for greenwashing actually is textile sector. There have been investigations and analysis, and some Changing Markets Foundation report states that 96% of HM claims regarding sustainability are completely false and fake, and they have no basis. And HM is doing, if you look from the consumer point of view, they are doing a lot. They accept the old clothes, any kind of old clothing in their shops. You can bring it there and put it in the box, and you receive this kind of flyer for discount for buying new HM clothing. What happens with these clothes that are put in the box? Well, nobody actually knows because HM is not really open about it. They say they go somewhere, something happens with them, some of them are recycled, some of them are incinerated, some of them are resold, but that's very hard. They are not really transparent about this program. They use recyclable materials and they use ecological cotton in their products, but it's a small part of their offer. And in general, the question that environmental experts are asking, can we have a sustainable HM? Can we have such a fast fashion company that produces huge amount of clothing using a lot of resources and are promoting overconsumption and are producing clothes that kind of after a couple of times are out of style or just simply look old and it cannot be used anymore and nobody needs them, even Global South, they don't need our old HM t-shirts. Can they be sustainable? And I feel sorry for people who work in sustainability department in HM. I wouldn't do it. Because actually, I think you cannot make HM in their current business model sustainable. And then we look at Shell, for example. Can they become sustainable if they switch to total renewable energies? Well, in this case, maybe they could be considered sustainable because we will still need energy. So these are the questions we can ask regarding some sectors. Is our business model, is there something in our business model that's inherently ungreen and we cannot change it? Yeah, and if we companies, so to sum it all up, if we as a company want to speak about sustainability, we need to know and tell the full story. Before we go to people, we need to investigate our industry, we need to understand what we are saying and what are the big issues, what are the small issues in our company, in our sector. Are we facing the big issues and are we doing it in the way that matters, that's correct? Be as transparent as you can, so give as much data or be ready to give as much data and explain what you are doing. It might make you look not perfect because you will have to say, yes, we are still not doing this, but be open about it and actually people appreciate it. One of the most sustainable fashion sector companies, Patagonia, I don't know if you know about them. They had a campaign, don't buy this jacket, and they do a lot of good things. And they themselves, their founder has stated various times, we are not 100% sustainable, we still have this and this that we are not doing, and we are still doing this and these bad impacts. So you should be transparent as well, and I think that people appreciate this kind of honesty. And as stated before, sustainability is not just about marketing. Do not just try to sell your idea, understand what's behind it. And actually, to finish it up, there's an interesting story going around right now that greenwashing, it's a change to greenwashing. That companies are actually afraid of speaking about their sustainability, and in certain reports, companies have said that more than a quarter of them have said that they will not give out more information regarding their climate objectives and climate targets. That's mandatory. Like, we are going to do more, yes, but we are going to give out only the information that's actually required from us, and we will not speak about it more. Why does it happen? Why do companies want to greenwash and not speak about it? Well, basically there are 3 things behind it. As stated before, doing less bad, might seem as a bad PR message. Hey, we contaminated only half of the amount that we did last year. Our carbon footprint is half it was, but it's still very high. So sometimes from PR perspective, it's kind of scary to give out this message because you might seem as a bad guy. And in many cases, the actions that have the most impact, they are unsexy. Like, people will not understand what you are talking about, even if it's a huge impact and you're actually doing a very, very, very good thing. It will be hard to explain it to people and see why it matters, and it will not attract your client base. And the third one, and I understand it, people are afraid, like companies are afraid of being called greenwashers, and they are telling, that's the stories the companies tell, I don't know how you feel about it, but they feel that the moment they will start to speak about sustainability, a lot of these environmental people such as I will come to them and will say, yes, you are doing this and this and this bad, and actually you are greenwashing, so please stop doing what you are doing. So that's a feeling that companies are starting to put out more and more. But I think these reasons are not really valid, and we should still, well, they are valid. I understand these worries the companies have, but I still think that we should speak about sustainability, but we should speak about it in an honest and open way, not pretending to be greener than we are. Yeah, so thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you will include sustainability as a core part of your business. Thank you.